Okay, tonight is the regular scheduled meeting for June the 21st, 2020. The meeting is now called to order. Myra, would you call roll, please?
Judge Executive Robert Williams.
Present.
County Attorney Keith Bartley.
Here.
County Treasurer David Lane.
Here.
Magistrate District 1 Mark Ryder.
Here.
Magistrate District 2 George
Here.
Disley. Magistrate District 3 Mike Taggett.
Here.
And Magistrate District 4 Ronnie A.
Myra, you want to lead us in prayer, please?
Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for another beautiful day. We ask you, Lord, to bless this fiscal court and that for any and all that is represented here today. We ask you, Lord, that any and all decisions that is always made for the betterment of the citizens of this county. I ask, Lord, once again for a special prayer on my boss, Chris Wall. We look for the day that he can come back and be with us, Lord. And we never forget to give you all the praise and glory in his sweet son's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes for the last meeting. Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Yes. Magistrate Mark Ryder. Magistrate George Disley.
Yes.
Magistrate Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Magistrate Ronnie A.
Next, we have the treasurer's report. David, anything that we need to report or discuss?
No, that's last month's, basically, that's the year end. Pretty well started out what was started the year off with. You did well, Judge.
Okay, thank you. 911 report.
Starting to get caught back up on my signs while I still work on the FEMA stuff and of course work on COVID.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Jail report, Bear, anything to report? What's your numbers in the jail right now?
110, 110, that's no better than 160 or 170.
There you go. How are we looking? Have you heard anything from the state about maybe trying to get these crews back out working? Is that
Judge, I just don't think it's going to happen.
no time soon?
Especially with the numbers where they're at now. They did a trial with some jails, set tents up outside, they had to change clothes, wash their clothes separately outside. All that, they done that for 2 weeks to recall all these. I don't see it happening.
Okay. Solid waste report, Joe.
Okay, our 4-can clean team picked up 6.5 tons of garbage in the past month. We've been back over Creekside 4 times, still helping those people from the flood back in March, or late February. We basically worked ourselves out of District 4 as far as picking up the roadways. And Salem Church Road, that place is unreal. We picked up 60 bags of garbage in that one stretch alone, 60 bags. That's almost like the place in Brown's Creek curve, which, and of course Ronnie knows that we hit that thing 2, 3, 4 times a year. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to stick some cameras in there and see who's throwing this out. But anyway, moving on. We're now working down in Cow Creek, Slit Rock, Gold Branch, here in District 1, Oxford, around that way. He asked me about Waste Connections getting in some new trucks to us. They actually sent in 2 13-yard trucks and a 9-yard truck. And one 13-yard truck was cracked, basically. Sent it back. We're supposed to be getting another one back in here. And right now, about once a week, they have at least one truck go down, and even the road department tell you, parts is hard to get. I guess due to this COVID. So they're having some real trouble getting parts just to fix the truck, to get them back, garbage trucks back on the road. But still, we're not missing, and that's a pretty good thing. But you asked about those trucks, and that's where we're at on them trucks. I'm going to call and talk to them more about some newer trucks, see if we can work out something. Besides that, that's about all I'll talk about.
Joe, has the state said anything about the tire hangers to you?
Nobody has mentioned it again since 2 months ago, when they contacted us about the tires. Said, would we like to do it? We said yes, sometime in the fall, and they would get back with us. But, as we're seeing this type of rise and fall, we're probably not gonna have it.
Yeah.
I got that feeling, they haven't said it, but we'll wait to hear from them.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, I've requested twice to get a cover put on the big garbage dumpster over at German Bridge, and they said they will, but they have to come through with it yet. The buzzards and the wild animals and stuff, every night they get there, they throw that garbage out there down that lake bank, and mess over there.
I'll call London tomorrow,
Okay.
that's why I got called.
All right. Thank
We
you.
call up here, they have to call.
They may
in.
not have anything, you know.
I'll
Jim said
call-
that
I'll
they
call
would try to
straight
find
in.
something, but they really need that over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him a call in the morning first thing. I need to talk to him anyway about the trucks.
Thank you. Next is citizens' comments. Keith, what can we do here? The meeting's supposed to be closed.
Why would the meeting be closed?
Well, I guess over this, what the governor's ordered, but are we okay with can we go ahead and do the citizens' comments? I mean, I don't have an issue with it.
Well, it is a regular meeting, which is mandated to be open to the public. I think we go ahead with the citizens' comments.
Okay, that's fine. We have
Looks
nothing
like
for
everybody's wearing
executive
a mask,
session.
hopefully keeping their socially distant.
Do we have
selves.
someone sign today?
Sheriff's Department? First.
Evening, Court.
Good evening, Sheriff.
Don't take this off, I'm pretty well over 6 feet away from everybody. I got a couple of claims to submit. I apologize to the court, but I was not able to submit my claims prior to getting the agenda ready for the court. But I do have a couple of claims, and I do desperately want these to get submitted to the court. Since the virus hit back in March, we immediately laid off 6 employees that we've had laid off ever since the virus has been in effect, and they're still laid off again today. The governor's COVID-19 money that came down to the counties was obviously a relief for counties to reimburse for this expense of payroll, which would help counties like Floyd and small counties, but offices like the sheriff's office to get reimbursed for their payroll and other PPE equipment that we were out, and some monies that would help us get caught up to where we need to be to the lack of, obviously we're down in tax collections. The courts were shut down, we don't have any papers coming in to serve, which is what we base our pretty much all of our income on is what court generates papers. The county attorney's office, so we has had to cut down their traffic. So I'm going to submit to y'all some of the expenses that we have, along with what other counties have used this same money for. Thanks, sir. Uh-huh. About all the expenses that have been submitted already for the local government has been related mostly to payroll, 4 offices, and some reimbursements for PPE equipment and everything. But as you see, my expenses from March up until today, I think it's what was the total, Jess? You know?
162,000.
162,000, that's including all the payroll. That will bring us up, and let me bring 6 that I have laid off. 5 of them obviously to be brought back to work. Some of them are here today that's been laid off. Our office, we've not been able to open because Sharon's been laid off too. So that'll help us get brought up to at least where we can get caught up to where we should be. A lot of people in the public, if anybody knows that we've actually laid off employees, you probably couldn't tell it with our service. Most people wouldn't know it, but we feel it. Court services can feel it. We need to bring these people back, and this is one way in which we can do that. If the court would make an approval to submit that reimbursement expense to the Department of Local Government, that's possible to do so.
I've got a question. So you're stating that there has been a reduction in your income due to the COVID?
Oh, 80%, 75% reduction.
So you're saying your budget, your income on your budget is going to be down 75% this year?
Our payroll already, for one, is down that much.
Well, I'm talking about the income.
Plus,
We're
due
looking
to,
for income replacement.
Yes, absolutely. Cost analysis of what we normally bring in this time of year, from all of the court papers, divorces, evictions, services of summonses and warrants. You're looking at, prisoner transports, easily 70% reduction in our income.
The problem we're running into, Sheriff, is we're trying to juggle the expenses for not just our offices, but all the other offices that we have in the county. I'm not trying to say Sheriff's office is not an important office, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to take this money and stretch it out and make it last to the end of the year. Now, we've already got the monies that we've already got on the radar for the county. We had $500,000 for the grants, $200,000 for the pantries, $200,000 for the Meals on Wheels, and $150,000 for the sheriff, for the fire department, so we could get the defibrillators purchased for the fire departments that we've been desperately needing for years. That's $1,050,000. We got $1,200,000 what's been allocated. Now, I'm not saying that we can't do some reimbursements, but I think what we have to do is we're going to have to dig into the paperwork and see. We're all taking a hit on our income. Our income's down as well. Our income's down. I mean, our road funds has been slashed nearly 15%. Our income's down as well. But we're all tightening up. I mean, the things we're doing and the decisions that we're making is we're trying to save money in our offices so we can have more additional funds to work and operate on. So we realize this is going to be a new normal for us for the next 12 months. So we're having to make those adjustments and to go back and take a look at our budget and how do we save money. And that's one of the reasons that, we're discussing some of these other things. And that's the reason that we're going out here and we're doing projects and things that seem odd to other folks, but it's saving us hundreds of thousands of dollars across the board. And then that's money that we can use to do some of these other things. But I'm not saying that we can't do a reimbursement. We'll certainly look at it, but I think what we need to do is we need to sit down and try to work through this as a fiscal court with all of us and try to make it work. But I can't look at the Meals on Wheels program when I'm feeding 300 people a day and say we can't feed you any longer because the co-severance money has dried up, and that's what we're having to use the money for. So when I'm sitting and I'm looking at your budget and what you have currently in your budget, and then I'm having to make a decision on a budget of $400,000 to $500,000 to get my seniors fed, then I've got some tough decisions to make. But we certainly take everything you've given to us under consideration and see what we can do.
I appreciate that, and I know you will, but obviously I'm a little bit more desperate than some of the other places you named, and this is an expense I'm already out. Some of these people might not be already out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I would ask the court, the magistrates themselves, if they would consider tonight voting on this to reimburse me my money.
Motion.
Did you second it, George? All right, Mary, you want to call roll, please?
Magistrate Mark Carter, Magistrate George Dusley, Magistrate Mike Tackett,
Yeah.
and Magistrate Ronnie Akins, 4.
Pass.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Sheriff.
I have one more claim to submit. Obviously, back in 2016, when the Sheriff's Office became on the same page as other offices that do the tax collections for the county, county offices, the software that we use for that was purchased by the county, and that contract was entered into by the county fiscal court in 2016. The DDI, the data solution software that we use, the same as every other office, it's a contract by the county to pay for that annual software. A bill was submitted back in August of 2019 to the court, and is laid up somewhere, been since August of 12. It has not been paid. That software company has since then issued several notices of non-receiving of payment, and I'll submit that to each one again, and if it's something the court wants to reject on, then that's fine too. It's just $1,700. But this is a contract entered into. Mike and Ronnie will remember when they bought this software. And this allows us to collect all the money, all the fire departments, the county, all nine yards. The key thing, I don't remember more about it, they do.
This is in fact the software that's used for the PDA's office, the county clerk's office, and the attorney's office and sheriff's department. We actually had a prior provider that was charging, I'm gonna say triple, maybe what this provider was charging. So when we went to this service, we actually felt like, and Jessica tell you better than me, that this service seems to be a lot better at 1/3 the cost.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot better.
So we might
It's a
have-
lot better.
So anyway, that was a contract that the fiscal court entered into in order to have that software for the tax collection services. John Brown about that money is actually up.
And these bills ain't, when was 19?
Yeah, this,
Yeah, we're gonna have another one coming before this has been paid.
Did you
we
submit
actually,
that to the judge's office, sure? Did
Excuse
you
me?
turn them in? Did you
yes,
turn-
that claim, it actually, I don't know how it got to the judge's office in August of 2019, but it was brought back to us a couple of weeks ago, unpaid. And then DDI, the software company, has called us, and I guess to bring legal action, I guess, if it's not paid. So we just submitted the report. If you read
So this is a contract that the fiscal court has entered into with them?
I'm gonna let the magistrate speak too. I was here, but I'll let them speak.
Is that what you said, Keith?
Yes, I believe that is correct. It has been a few years, so I can't say that I specifically recall that, but I'm pretty sure this fiscal court agreed with it.
Okay.
That would have been before you,
Okay.
Maybe before any of you were around. So, in fact, if you don't know about it, I understand. But it is certainly something that, if not paid, and that design shuts off that service, you shut down all tax collections for all of Floyd County. That would mean every fire department, rescue squad, school board, senior citizens. Everybody that's a tax
Sure.
district would be down.
Motion to pay the bill.
Ronnie made the motion to pay it. Got a second?
Second.
Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Usley,
yes.
Master Mike Tackett,
Yeah.
Master Ronnie.
Shut up, buddy.
What was the total?
1733.70 on that invoice.
1730.
17, what you got?
I'm finished. Thank you, Judge and Court. Appreciate your time and your service.
Okay, next we have, do we have anyone else that,
Tanya Ratliff,
oh, Tom, yes, on the,
East Rescue.
yes, Dumas. We talked to Tanya about trying to help us with an ordinance for the animal situation here in Floyd County. Thank you for coming out. We just want to get an update.
Well, you know, you asked us back in the winter to form a committee, the animal care control committee, and we did, and because of COVID, we really haven't met in person, but we've talked, you know, on the computer, and Zoom messaging and FaceTiming, and what we discussed and what we thought would be efficient for you and for the county, for the animals involved, is to adopt the ordinance that the city adopted. The only thing the ordinance is Kentucky statutes that are already in place, but it defines them better and puts better things in place, like, I know, Robbie, that your office gets calls constantly about dogs being tethered or tied with no dog house or no bedding. People calling and reporting that as a cruelty or abuse thing, and that Kentucky statutes already has that in place as statutes, the ordinance defines it better. It defines it as having them on at least a 10-foot lead, you know, a 10-foot chain if they're going to tie them up with a swivel. It's, all the ordinance is doing is putting in place a law for the animals that common sense should be anyway. It gives people responsibility as an owner to be responsible pet owner. And it will help, and there's an animals at large thing in the ordinance. Anna was gonna print it out. She said she would print it out and give it to you guys. I don't know if she
We got
did.
it.
But anyway, all it does is put in place laws that we can go by, that is common sense for an animal owner. That's the responsibility anyway. Baiting in the winter, not tied out in the direct sunlight. We lost a dog, the sheriff's department was called in, 2 weeks ago on a dog that was tied out in the direct sunlight, and it died because of that. It's 95 degrees out today.
Mhm.
I passed about 6 dogs on my way here tied out in the sun. I mean, that's, you know, it's not right.
Yeah. Well, I did look at the ordinance that you were referring back to the city's ordinance.
Right.
I would love to try to adopt, but I don't know that that's gonna work on a
Right.
countywide
Like I
level.
said, I knew that, and I told you and Anna both that some of those things we would have to work on. Some of the things in that ordinance are a little bit extreme.
Mhm.
They're a little bit extreme, and I agree with that. But to amend that ordinance, to work with you on a level, and you guys to amend that ordinance, something that you feel is doable here without it being extreme, would be something that would be a big accomplishment for people and the animals and you as an office trying to handle the animal control situations.
Yeah. Well, I think what I agree. I think this would be a nice ordinance to adopt, but I don't know that it's gonna be, what we're going to have to do is kind of scale it down.
Right, I knew.
Kind of, you know, work around, because there's situations out in the county, it's just not gonna be.
Right, and address the situations, though, in that ordinance, address the situations with an ordinance that you see most down the calls, and like I do. Do you know how many dogs and horses I've taken in since Saturday?
Oh, yeah,
From
yeah.
Floyd County.
I seen
From
your
Floyd
numbers.
County alone, we've taken in 26 dogs. And I went on Brandy Keg Sunday, climbed the hill, met, had a heat stroke, and caught a pony.
Yeah.
Off of Brandy Keg, it was running.
Well, we appreciate what you all do. We certainly
But, you
do.
know, the ordinance would help you and help us too.
Who all's on that committee?
Who all we got on that, Tanya, on the committee?
On the committee, it's me, Megan Goble, Shaw Reynolds, and, Sean Tessie.
Okay.
Sean Tessie and Megan, you said Megan,
Yeah. Shaw Reynolds,
Okay. Well, I appreciate your input. Let's just, if we can, may have to have some workshops and sit down and kind of work through it and go,
That would be.
you know, maybe line by line and figure out what we want to do here.
And do the best thing, you know, that wouldn't get you a lot of backlash as well.
Mhm.
Because I understand the culture in this county and the things that, and a lot of that would get you a lot of backlash. I understand that. But it's also something that's really, really needed. And I mean, I know you see that on a daily basis here.
Okay.
I was just gonna say one thing real quick as your group looks at it. I'm not so sure that I'd be advocating for this particular ordinance.
Right.
For example, and this was laying here when I sat down, so I'd never seen this city ordinance before. Mayor sitting back here saying they shoot me when I get through with this statement. But I got a long line of those people want to shoot me, that's okay. But there is actually a section in it that says a police officer or an animal control officer or an officer of the Humane Society can kill an animal if they believe it's abandoned.
They can kill you
That's
in
not
that,
what
but
you
there's
want.
an amendment on that though, on in the back, on that ordinance that says if they have two other viewers to view that animal and feel that it's past care, you know, if they can't get it to a veterinarian, that they have two other people view it and like as citizens or an animal expert or so, if they have two other people view it and agree that that animal is past being held.
And it's a long
Yes.
resolution, I mean,
Yes.
there's a section that says if it's abandoned or not properly cared for, a police officer, animal control officer, officer of the accredited humane society.
Right,
can
because
kill
those are Kentucky statutes, truly though, they came down from KRS. But in the back of that, there's an amendment to that,
Okay.
to state that they have to have two people view it.
Well, I doubt very seriously that the mayor wants his police officers out there killing dogs.
No.
And I doubt very seriously this court wants their police officers out there doing that either.
But there might be a situation with an aggressive animal or something that they would have to.
Different story.
Yeah.
That's not what it says.
No, there's an amendment in the back of that.
Okay, thank you.
Tanya, thank you. What we'll do is we'll try to get together in the near future and see if we can't work through
I'll be
this.
glad to,
And just make some notes, I mean, on some of the things that we feel
Yep,
or that we need to address as a county when it comes to the animals, and we'll go from there.
that'd be great.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else? Next, we have the 911 dispatching. Mark, this was what you brought up in the last meeting.
You know, we talked about it, maybe moving the dispatching to Blackmore County. Like you say, the possibility of it being a more efficient system. On top of the,
Yeah. Well, I know we've had some folks that has expressed concerns over the dispatching and moving it back to Floyd County. They want to keep it in Pike County. I'm open to discussing it, but I feel that, you know, one of the things that we should do as a fiscal court is, if we're going to look at doing this, we need to establish a committee of fire chiefs and let them be the ones to explore this option and do what benefits them the most. Because as a fiscal court and as a judge executive and as magistrates, I don't think we know what their needs are, and I think the chiefs of these fire departments would be the individuals that would be best suited to sort through the paperwork and do what's best for them with the 911. So I wouldn't be opposed to looking at it, but I think that would be the way that we would need to approach it rather than just voting to go ahead and move. Get input from them. So I think
how many
that,
people would we have on this panel?
I think we would need at least five of the chiefs, and let them sort through it and go through the paperwork and see if it's something that they want to explore going forward, because it's going to affect them. I do think there's obviously there are some positives in moving it back to Floyd County. You know, we do save some money. I think the services is an issue as well. We're getting our Floyd County tax dollars back to Floyd County. We're spending them in Floyd County. And I think ultimately, once we get a dispatch that we feel is stable enough, that we may even look at trying to create a countywide ambulance service, because some of the applications for additional ambulance service, it appears they're not going to go through. And we've got folks on Left Beaver, Mud Creek, Right Beaver that desperately need some additional service. So I would have no problem discussing it, but I think what we should do is establish some kind of a committee to do that. Yes, one chief from each district. We need 5 people, and let them sit down and discuss it. So that's something we can work through here in the next few days, how we want to structure that. And I think we'll probably have a special call meeting here in a couple of weeks and go from there.
Just as you mentioned that to me earlier, I did just a quick little research on that issue. One of the things I found was that there had been essentially an audit from the Department of Local Government of 911 systems across Kentucky. And in that particular audit, it was a couple years old. So things could have changed certainly, but in that particular audit, they made the finding that 911 systems that were run at state police posts were actually less expensive than the systems that were being run in cities or counties. Now, that could have changed, certainly, but I think it's something I'd want somebody to take a look at, see if the information is correct about it being less expensive or not.
Yeah. Well, it would be done. We've spoken with the Prestonsburg, the folks at Prestonsburg, and they would give us just a straight fee in the event that it is moved, and we would have a savings of about $50,000. And I think that's money that we could, you know, it just goes back to, you know, trying to find different ways to save money across the board to support our fiscal court. So, but you know, I think that's something we'll look at here in the next few days. I know that it was brought up in the last meeting. I wanted to discuss it. But we'll look at forming a committee of maybe five of the fire chiefs, one in each district, and go from there and let them explore this option. I think that's the best way for us to move forward on that. Next, anything else to add?
We need to make a motion on
Well, I think you want to go ahead and make a motion to establish the committee tonight?
And bring the names back next meeting.
Bring a name, okay. Yeah, we can do that. Go ahead, if you want to make a motion, that's fine. We can do that. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we
Establish a committee,
Any
okay.
discussion? Second.
Okay. Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Usley,
Yes.
Master Mike Jackson.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Baker.
Or, we asked the question, and maybe there's some state police from here, I mean, if we go away from the state police dispatch, does that take them completely out of the, I mean, do they respond to 911 calls?
Yeah, they respond. Statutorily, they have to respond.
Yeah, but will they be first response, or will the sheriff's department be first, or will the city, Tim, you're shaking your head, what?
Sheriff would be first.
The sheriff's department will be first? So there's chances in the state police wouldn't show, I mean, wouldn't have to respond to, and then what you're
Right.
saying?
What I was saying was just looking at an audit at the Department of Local Government. And like I said, it's a few years old. But I think that was one of the expense that they obviously considered whenever they were trying to determine which location was more cost effective. And it wasn't a uniform answer across Kentucky. But for the most part, when they considered the additional expense that you throw on the sheriff's department by, stepping up to the plate to be number one, that most of the time they found that the state police system was actually less expensive. Now, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever y'all decide, it's your money. I'm just saying I wanted them to be sure that they had all the information on the expense side before they make any decisions.
So what am I asking, if we move to the city, say, do they go out in the county, do they respond to anniversary, if there's a call, do they go let leave the mailroom?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is just preliminary. I mean, I don't think that, I don't know that, how that sequence is going to play out.
I'm thinking you'll have to go out the city, so I didn't know.
City
if
will go out, the city won't let us.
Do what?
City will go out, the city won't.
Unless we have to.
I've seen an awful lot of tickets go over Boyd's Road outside the city.
Most of our city limits, we stay inside city limits right now. We do get criminal cases come in the city, like drugs or anything else. We don't have a lot of tickets outside the city limits.
That they have fallen off a lot, I'll say that way. You're right. They used to ride a whole lot outside the city.
Could have, our limits go a lot more than people think.
Anything else to add? So did you call roll, Myra, on the?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So next, we have the meeting was supposed to be closed tonight. We received a letter from Deborah Stanley. She was one of the applicants for the business grants that we put together earlier. She had asked that we go back and review the businesses that were denied on the grant applications. In light of information that came from the Department of Local Government's legal department yesterday, in that we will have to sign a document stating what criteria we use to determine that these were an active business in Floyd County. The criteria that we used was that there was a business bank account. I don't know how we could, and I discussed this with Keith, I don't know how we can legally go back and open this process back up again. Keith, do you have anything to add?
Well, the court had the authority to determine what the guidelines would be. Okay, so, but once you make that decision, you gotta follow it. You gotta apply them equally to everybody. Okay, so that's the thing right there. If you're going to, I think you said reopen it, you'd have to determine what the guidelines are gonna be and apply that equally to everybody. And at this point, as I understand, it, basically the money's all go.
The money has been, yes, correct. Correct.
But as
So,
far as the authority decides, you know, what the guidelines were in that money, that was entirely your call.
yeah. Well, I just wanted to, I thought as a courtesy to her that I would bring this up. But I don't know how we open the process back up legally without opening it up for everyone. David, anything to add?
I don't know about legal, I mean, I'm like Keith, you know, you were at $1,057,000, you just, 162 just went out the door, so you're over 1.2 now.
Yeah.
And we applied for that reimbursement yet on the,
The grants?
yeah.
Yes. We've submitted it, we don't have to cancel checks from everybody yet. When the checks clear the bank, we have to send the checks in.
So, I just thought as a courtesy to her, but I think in light of the information that was passed down from the Department of Local Government yesterday in their legal department, I wanted to say that we was gonna look at another round of funding, but, you know, as things stand right now, I don't know that that's gonna be possible. So, let's move on. Next, we have Resolution 1. This is the transfers. Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble,
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
Next, we have the claims list. Myra, you want to call roll, please?
You guys will have to speak up a little.
Mike made a motion to accept.
George?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble,
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
Heard that, David.
Next, we have the jail commissary annual statement. Got a motion?
You got Mountain Home first. Last three here.
Oh, the Mountain Comp Grant, I apologize. Yes, we have the Mountain Comp Grant. Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble,
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
And next, we have the jail, the commissary annual settlement.
Motion. Second.
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble.
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
And next, we have jail employees that need to be hired.
Motion. Second.
Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble.
Yes.
Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
And next, we have our seasonal employees.
Motion.
Myra, you want to call roll, please?
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble.
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
And the motion, we had a motion to pay the fire departments $300 up to $10,000 per fire department. Guys, we're gonna have to table this. We don't have the money. So, we're gonna have to table this until until we come up with some more money. So the $10,000 we're gonna give the fire departments, we can no longer do. So let's move on. Next, we have the seasonal road workers.
Motion. Second.
Master Mark Carter,
Four.
Master George Ruble.
Yes.
Master Mike Tackett.
Yeah.
Master Ronnie Four.
We got one more.
Let's see, and what was the next one?
Number 10.
We'll finish off.
Yeah,
We're tabling that.
No, we're tabling 9. We're gonna go ahead and table that motion, that resolution.
Okay.
And the next, we have the deputy coroner.
That is volunteer.
He is a volunteer, correct, he is not being paid.
And any expense or compensation to the fiscal court, all we're doing is doing a bond basis.
Second.
Myra, you want to call the roll, please?
Ambassador Mark Ryder,
Four.
Ambassador George Usually.
Yes.
Ambassador Frank Tackett. Four.
Yes.
And need a motion to adjourn.